What is going on, irregulars? Welcome back after a long hiatus. Bobby, how you feeling?
I'm feeling great. How are you feeling? That's the real question.
I am good. You look so tan.
You know what's funny? Somebody else mentioned that to me. They're like, "Man, looks like you got bronze," and I was like, "I've never been told that I've been tan in my entire life." But thank you.
LeBron's James, ladies
Yeah.
and gentlemen.
Oh, jeez, that was
In the
horrible.
flesh.
That was the worst dad joke.
Did you miss me?
No.
So yeah.
So the answer is yes.
So we talked a little bit about this before we started recording. And to save you guys a very long monologue from Bobby, which I think we should get into at some point because I do want to hear the ins and outs of the trip. But this episode is going to be a bit of a monologue from you in and of itself. So,
Correct.
Bobby, you were in Montana for 10 days. Give me like one quick high and one quick low.
There were no lows. Mike O'Malley, which you guys saw on our Instagram story, came up to me on like the second to last day and was like, "We voted you the MVP of the trip." And I
That's
was
great.
like,
And you were the only single one on the trip too, correct?
correct.
Amazing.
So, well, there was one other one. He was only there for like the first half, and then he flew home. But he was like, I was like, "How did I get MVP? Like, what are you talking about? Your wife is pregnant and did all of the things with us."
Wow.
And he
What's
goes,
her name?
Ashley.
Shout out to Ashley.
Yeah, Ashley, dude, badass chick. So I was like, dude, Ashley's MVP, and he goes, no, he gave her like some other like accreditation, you know what I mean? Like, and I was like, why am I MVP? And he goes, because honestly, you were just having the best time of your life. He goes, we were driving behind you, you were in the bed of the pickup truck going through all the national parks, like you were just smiling, like nothing stopped you from having a good time. Like you did not give a shit about anything, and you just we're rolling with the punches, just down for whatever. You're the MVP. I was like, all right, I'll take it.
And he's like grinning ear to ear right now,
Yeah,
saying that,
it was.
guys. Just so we're clear. I actually haven't seen you since you've gotten home, and I gotta say, you look good. You look happy.
Yeah. Oh my God, I'm exhausted. So I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Inside, I'm dying, but
Well, you look and sound great.
thank you. So that would be, I would say my low was just whatever, but the high. What was the coolest thing? That I can legally tell you, I guess.
Yeah, we had some fun stories off air, guys.
Yeah. Dude, we rented a pontoon boat one day and went around Flathead Lake, which is the biggest lake west of the Mississippi, and we just floated around and hopped off. We found the tour person or whatever. They were like, "You can't go between these two islands." And then the guy like putting our boat in the water, helping us put the boat in the water, was like, "You absolutely need to go to those two islands." Like, and then we were like, "Okay." And he's like, "You're gonna pull up here. There's gonna be a little alcove, and like there's gonna be an abandoned fisherman shack. That's the best views of the lake." We were like, "Okay." We went there, pulled up, best views of the lake.
Amazing.
We just, Mike and Richie flew their drones around, got some sick footage, got pictures. Like the whole day was just. I know you hate this term, but the whole day was just a vibe. Like everything just worked out.
I'm
It was
starting
really,
to get
really
better
cool.
with the word vibe.
Yeah, I appreciate that because it can describe things perfectly. And
It
that
really
day
can.
it was just a vibe. Everyone was chilling. Everyone had a good time. It was like it wasn't even that expensive either. It was like came out to be like $80 a person. Ooh,
For the boat?
yeah, for
Wow.
5 hours.
Oh, that's not bad at all. Could you bring booze on it?
Oh, we were smashed.
Oh,
Yeah,
I love that.
yeah, we were.
Nothing better than being drunk in a boat.
Oh, it
Doesn't
was
matter where
awesome.
you are.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. The water was probably like 70 degrees, so it was a little chilly, but it was hot as hell out.
Okay.
So like you would jump in and just feel so refreshed, and then you'd hop out, start sweating again, jump back in. The water was crystal clear. It was just the whole, like I said, the day was a vibe.
That's
pretty much it.
awesome.
How about you? You were in Miami.
Ugh. Yeah. Yes, I was.
I feel like that's the response from anyone who goes to Miami, and when they come back, you're like, "Yo, you were in Miami. How was it?" They're always like, "Oh, I got a new pain."
I do actually have a new pain. I think I pulled a muscle on my back bartending last night, which just makes me feel like that's a vibe in and of itself.
Yeah,
but like
a
not
negative
good one.
vibe.
I woke up this morning and I was like, what the hell is happening to my body? But I don't think it's related to Miami. I can say I never thought that I would be going to Miami at 29 because last time I was there, I was like, I don't know, maybe 22-ish.
Oof.
And I came to a realization about clubs, like nightclubs. We were kind of deciding, like, are we going to go to one? Are we not? Because there's amazing nightlife in Miami. So we kind of like I went to go visit my friend Liv, who's spending a month down there. She's from episode
19.
19. Um, her and her boyfriend are down there for a month. So a couple of friends and I all joined up and went down. And we're like, are we going to go to a club? Are we not? And I kind of came to this realization, like, if I go to the club at this point, I'm 29, like, I'm probably going to have to pay to get in, number one, which I have not had to pay to get into a club in my entire life, ever. Not once.
Yeah.
I've never had to wait in a line. I've certainly never had to pay. Like,
Yeah.
so number one, like, okay, whatever. I'm not poor. I can handle this. But then number two, I'm like, okay, well, I'm not going to have a bottle service table. And every club I've ever been to, I've somehow finagled my way into bottle service. And typically we've known people that have just been able to like get our own table for us for free. And like, I don't have to go thought around the club and look for a table.
Yeah.
But if, necessary times, necessary measures. So I'm like, okay, well, I don't know anybody in Miami anymore. I'm 29. Like, no one wants to bring this, like, washed up 29-year-old to a club and be like, come to our table.
Yeah.
So, and I'm past the point of being a little bottle rat, so I'm not going to go find a table.
Yeah.
So now I'm going to have to stand up the whole time in the club.
Welcome to a guy's life.
Sardines. Not only would I have to pay, but I would have to stand the entire time in general admission. And I'm like, okay, so I think this is when like,
It's time to clock out.
I'm old. Like, I'm never going to a club again.
I'm never.
I'll go to a country club.
Yeah, country. Yeah,
I'll go to a country club all day.
You go and golf.
I would pick up golfing before I'd ever pick up
going back
a nightclub again.
Oh my gosh.
So on that note, we did a lot of bar hopping.
Trading the bottles in for golf clubs. Nice.
Yeah, I would do. I tried to convince my girlfriends during quarantine to pick up golfing because it was like one of the only things that opened up at first was golf courses.
Oh, really?
And they had booze and like everything else in the world was closed. I was like, bitches, we are gonna golf. I'm gonna get us golf skirts. I'm gonna make us polos. We're gonna be a golf team. And then
it never happened.
No,
yeah, that's a good thing.
Yeah, probably for the best.
Golf sucks.
I'd probably pull a muscle in my back doing that too. But okay, so
that was the low of the trip. What was a high?
So I don't know when I started doing this, but I realized, you know the dance to Cotton Eye Joe?
I hate that song. Here's my quick reasoning why. Because when you play it at a party, there's 90 different renditions of the song, and everyone likes a different version of it.
Really?
Yeah, so like they're like, oh, play Cotton Eye, or the Cotton Eye Joe comes on, like, oh no, play this one, and then you wind up hearing the same fucking song 6 times in a row, and you're like, I hate that song, I hate it. But keep going.
Well, what I've learned about the Cotton Eye Joe is this: pretty much any song that has a steady like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, any song that has that rhythm to it, you can do the fucking Cotton Eye Joe too.
So you started doing the Cotton Eye Joe to some random rap song.
There is one song that I absolutely love called Sweet Love. And we kind of started doing it in the apartment, just like messing around. We were fucked up. Like I was teaching the guys to do it. And like, I've done this a couple of times at different parties in the past, but we did it a lot before we went out. And then something just like some song came on and somebody started doing it out at the bar. And it was like a really cool outdoor bar where they had an outdoor DJ and there was a bunch of people dancing and we started like this whole, like, I'm talking probably like 100 people, like little by little pockets just started picking up and doing the Cotton Eye Joe to a song that was not Cotton Eye Joe. And then like,
oh my gosh.
So it was, and this happened like a couple of times throughout the night. And
it's almost like a flash mob.
Oh, it was great. And then throughout the weekend, we just continued it. But my favorite part of it was, first of all, the joy of people joining in. They were just like, it was awesome. I love me a good crowd dance. Like anything that can get a crowd together, I'm like, let's fucking go, baby. But there was this one asshole who is kind of like standing back and just like looks at me and I'm like, come on, like join in, I'll teach you. And he like has his hand on his hip and he just looks at me and side eyes me and he goes, what, the Cotton Eye Joe? And I'm like, because everybody else thought we just like made up this new dance. Like nobody knew what it was. Like we were teaching people and it was like, we were like, cool. And he's like, oh, you mean the Cotton Eye Joe? I'm like, oh, I've been discovered.
Like, oh my
we gotta go, everybody. Let's go. Get the fuck out of here.
Get the fuck out.
So, but yeah. So other than that, I did admittedly stay in one night when everybody went out.
Ooh, party foul.
Which is like, if anyone knows me, that's so not me at all.
No, not at all.
No. I think living alone has really like turned
calmed you down.
and it's turned me into what I'm realizing is I'm a very extroverted introvert.
Okay.
So while I am always kind of the life of the party when I'm out in public, it really drains me, like all that social interaction. And then I really need to kind of just like retreat to my hole and recharge and just like take some time and, you know, get back with my thoughts and whatnot. And I was around 4 really wonderful, amazing, social, very like high personality, high energy people all weekend. So by day 3, I was like, yo, I need to watch Grey's Anatomy by myself in the dark for like 2 hours. So,
That's not embarrassing.
not at all. So, you guys go to the club or go out wherever you're going, and I'll be here. When they came back, I came back out of the room and hung out with them, and
What time did they get back?
like 3.
Oh, and did you get up and like rage for a
Well, I
little?
heard them, so I came out with my Gatorade in my hand and my bag of chips, and I was like, "Hey, how was
Slippers and
it?"
shit.
Yeah, and they were like really fucked up. It was funny when I first walked out. I was expecting this like, "Hey, what's up?" Because like that's just the energy there, and they were so fucked up they didn't even notice that I walked out of the room at first. I was just like, "Oh, hi
Like,
guys,"
oh, hey,
and
hey.
then like I'm sitting there for a good 15 seconds, and they're like, "Oh my God, Katie, what's up?" And I'm like, "Oh,
You're like, yeah, it's 4 in the
I'm
morning. You
glad I
woke,
stayed in probably."
you woke me up. I watched 19 episodes of Grey's
Yeah,
Anatomy.
yeah, but that did backfire because the next morning I woke up like bright-eyed and bushy-tailed and ready to get fucked up, and everybody was hungover, so I was annoying as shit.
Oh yeah, so now you're that guy.
Oh, and I got hammered by myself, but no regrets.
Yeah, right. No regrets. That's the Caitlin I know. Getting
There
hammered
she
by
is,
yourself.
baby.
Oh my gosh. Well, at least we both had fun, and we
Yeah.
had some highs, and I mean, or you had some lows. I didn't have any.
Well, as Drake says, I be getting high just to balance out my lows.
Oh god.
Just kidding. I don't.
You get worse and worse, like as it goes.
Oh, you missed me, baby. So
Oh,
speaking of missing us, we didn't address the fact that we took like a little 2-week break. So sorry about that, guys.
whoops. Honestly, it was kind of just like I'm not even gonna make an excuse. It was poor planning.
It was.
It was just really poor planning.
And both of our schedules are so hectic. Like if we don't hit the one sweet spot that we have, if that for some reason misses, like we're kind of fucked. So,
Yeah. I mean, it is what it is. Like we said, the last 2 episodes, summer hours. You know, it sucks. I don't like it, but like, you know,
doesn't it make you guys miss us?
I like how we like I pause like waiting for someone to like say yes back, and it's only us two
Well, we
down
miss you.
Yeah,
And
I mean,
Bobby, I miss you.
oh gosh,
Say it
I don't
back.
miss you.
Say it back.
I don't miss
He
you.
misses me.
No,
Can you edit that to say I miss you?
I miss you. It just like bleeps out. It's like I don't miss you. Yeah, no, I mean it feels good getting back on the mic. So much shit has happened and whatnot, so it's good to kind of, just get it out there. But
You're
we're
still
here now.
single, I'm assuming.
Of course,
Oh, well.
yeah. Firing away, firing my shots. No, I'm just kidding. I'm not firing any shots. I have no one in my eyesight.
Really?
Yeah.
But that sometimes can be good, I feel like.
I also just got back from being an 11th, a 9th, and then a 5th wheel on that trip. So it's kind of like, man, that kind of sucked. It actually didn't bother me all too much until like at night when everyone starts to
Yeah.
get cozied up, and I'm
Mhm.
like, that's cool. I guess I'll just be drunk by the fire by myself. I will say though, Mike O'Malley was a trooper and stayed up with me. Him and I stayed up till like 3 in the morning, like 4 of the nights, because he's an animal.
Well, I shockingly still have a boyfriend, and things are actually going really well.
Yeah, you have to fill me in on that, because I think some things have went down, not like bad things, but you were like, I remember last time I saw you, you were like, oh, I got to tell you this, but again, our schedules are so like, all right, let's hit it and get the hell out of here. We got to go do shit, whatever. So
Well, I'll definitely open up about that soon because I think dating someone who has children and has an ex-wife and all that good stuff is something that is worth discussing. So we'll definitely get into that in the future.
absolutely, that'll be good for other people too, because like I'm sure there's guys and girls out there who are either thinking about approaching someone with that same situation or are in it and need advice.
And what's interesting too is I've actually been looking up books and stuff about it because I just feel like I've never done this before, obviously. And there really is not a lot of resources out there for it at all.
Wow.
Not a lot at all.
We'll have to do some digging and then
I'm reading one book that I found that's actually really fucking funny. And the girl who wrote it is like, she could be my twin. She's
Oh
great.
boy.
So
Oh boy. That's I don't
yeah.
know if that's a good thing or not.
Well, the one thing I've learned is that you have to approach the whole situation with humor. So I'm good.
Oh god. Because you're the funniest, right?
The funniest,
Not.
baby.
Not.
All right. Well, we've taken a break. We've kind of caught up a little bit. And we've been sitting here like, what are we going to talk about? And thankfully, Bobby actually approached the situation, which I would like to take a little bit of credit. I was going to suggest this earlier, but
Yeah,
I
sure.
didn't want to put you on the spot. But Bobby has alluded many times to a situation in his life that was really, really a kind of like a turning point for him and really had a big impact on the direction he was going. And just, I think from the outside looking in, it really changed who you are and kind of like pivoted your life for the
Uh,
better, in my opinion. But
Absolutely. That was definitely a wake up call.
so, without further ado, we're going to get into the story of Bobby behind bars.
Oh my gosh. That was a good one.
We need to set the tone. So the year was 2011. It was springtime. The skies were blue. The trees were blooming. I don't know. Take it away.
And Bobby was in prison.
Boom.
All right. So yeah, it's a story that I actually like don't it's oddly enough because you know how you ask like KJ, you're like when do you usually tell girls about like your brain surgeries and stuff like that? I usually don't tell girls the story right away and
I
then
wouldn't either.
yeah, and then here I am like, saying it on a platform where thousands of people listen to it, but whatever. Yeah, so how did it start? I was, hanging out with a group of friends and blah blah blah, and one of those friends happened to like to sell some things that are green and illegal. Now,
Oh,
yeah. So, and he
like
got
broccoli.
yeah, broccoli that makes you feel good.
Feel good. Magic broccoli.
Magic
Okay.
broccoli. And yeah, so he wound up getting caught, whatever. Like it is what it is. At that time, I wasn't involved in any of that. And push came to shove, everyone kind of figured out how he got caught. And basically he was narked on by a kid who went to college who got caught with weed, and the cops basically were just like, hey, you want mom and dad to not find out about this? Like, make a bust. So, like, any, 17, 18, 19-year-old kid is like, okay, well, I don't want mom and dad to find out. Of course, I'll make a bust and, no one will ever know, and I'll just move on with my life. Well, they don't tell you how many times you have to do it, how long you're their little, dog on a leash kind of thing.
Okay, so for story purposes, can we give fake names for this? So this narc, we'll call him Mark the Narc.
Mark the Narc. There you go. All right. Yeah. So Mark narked. Oh gosh, that's gonna be really hard. Mark narked on John.
Okay.
Okay. And again, I genuinely didn't give a shit. Like I really didn't care. I remember when my friends came up to me, they're like, "Hey, we found out who Mark narked on John," and I was like, "Cool. Like that's the price you pay when you want to sell magic broccoli. Like
Right.
I don't care." Well, the next night we're at a party, and I had to get up early the next day because my best friend's stepfather passed away. So I was going home, and I was gonna go to the services. That night I got mangled, mangled. I had like half a case of Keystone Light bottles to myself.
Ooh,
Yeah, great.
love them.
Uh,
They used to be what, $18 for a
Cheaper
30
than
pack?
that for a 24 pack of Keystone Light bottles delivered to your door was like $13.24,
Ugh,
and then
the
you just
good
tip
old
the driver.
days.
Yeah.
Ugh.
So I'm outside. We're at this party. I'm outside. I'm drunk as a skunk, and I'm pissing on the side of the house because I'm a guy and I can do things like that.
It's hot.
Yeah, you're welcome, ladies. And all of a sudden I hear like a commotion behind me, and it's all my buddies like kind of yelling at some person. I'm drunk. I don't even know who this person really is, and I walk over. And what Caitlin meant as far as like where I was heading, I was such a Tommy Tough Nuts in college. Like I was getting in fights every weekend, and I'm not talking like yelling matches. I'm talking like hurting people. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like it
Because
was
you can hurt people if you want to.
absolutely, yeah. I'm not your just average guy. Like I'm skilled in a combat sport that I
Right.
did for 20 years, you
Mhm.
know? So yeah, so I was just reckless. I mean, that's just the best way to describe it. I was
Yeah.
reckless. I didn't care about anybody but myself and all this stuff. So I turned around and everyone was yelling at this person, and I didn't. I was drunk. I was, like I said, a Tommy Tough Nuts. Didn't like how the kid looked, and I spit on him. That's it. And the look that this kid gave me, I will never forget. Like he just stopped and like turned and like looked at me right in my eyes. And no matter how drunk I was, I would in my head I was like, "You just fucked up. You need to get out of here." And I walked away. I went home. I grabbed my backpack full of the rest of my Keystone Light bottles.
Nice.
Yeah, I wasn't gonna leave that behind. I was drunk, but I wasn't that drunk. So grabbed my stuff and I went home. Well, he later went down the street and got roughed up because it was Mark the Narc.
Fuck that guy.
Yeah, and he wound up getting roughed up. The fights on video, it's the most pathetic fight I've ever seen in my entire life.
And you were not involved in this fight.
At all. I was at home. I was at home sleeping.
Uh,
By the time that happened, I was at home and asleep. Um, so I wake up the next day to schedule my classes for the next year semester, and I get a knock on the door. I'm in my boxers and moccasins. I look through the peephole of the door, and there is, let me see, one, 6 cops, and my roommate had a party that night before, and of which I was not a part of. So I was like, God damn it, what did he do? What happened here last night that the cops are showing up? This is like 8 o'clock in the morning.
so it's like not even in your mind that this could be for you.
Oh, I had no clue. So I opened the door and they're like, "Hey, what's up?" And I was like, they were like, "Hey, what's going on?" I go, "I don't know. You tell me." Like I'm half naked in my boxers at 8 o'clock in the morning. You're knocking on my door. And then the arresting officer goes, "What's your name?" I was like, "Bobby Ashton." He looks at some paperwork, gives the nod. They fucking take me, throw me against the wall, got a forearm in the back of my head. He's reading off this shit. He's like, this, and this. Felony, 5 to 7 years. And I was like, felony? Like, what the fuck? Like, I had some beers last night. Like, I didn't do anything. Like, you should have seen me last
And
weekend.
were
You
you
know what I mean?
underage at this point?
Oh, yeah, I was 19.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So I was like, I had some fucking beers. Like, oh my gosh. So I'm like, what the fuck is going on? They put me in handcuffs. They're like, where is, because I got arrested with 2 other people. They let's give him a name. Chris. They're like, where is Chris? Well, Chris was one of my other roommates, and I said, I don't know. You go fucking find him. I'm not gonna just tell you where he is. Like, and quite honestly, I didn't even know if he was home. You
Right.
know, I said, I don't know. You fucking find him. So then they pull Chris out, and fucking Chris was with his girlfriend the night before, so they arrested him with no clothes on. I mean, butt naked.
Butt naked.
Butt naked.
No
Yeah.
way.
Yeah, they were, and then they let him put clothes on, obviously. He was still drunk from the night before and all that. He comes out and he's like yelling. He's like, all this over one punch, like blah blah blah. And I literally took to him. I go, Chris, shut the fuck up. Like, because if there's one thing that I learned is if you're in trouble and you don't think you deserve to be, or even if you do know that you deserve to be in trouble, shut up. Let your lawyers do the talking. That's why you pay them, you know? So
So
they
at this point, did you even know that a fight had gone down?
I got a phone call in the middle of the night and they were like, "We found out who narked on," what did I say his name was?
John.
John. "We found out who narked on Chris." And I literally went,
You mean
"Cool."
John?
Or yeah, or John, sorry. I go, "Cool." And I hung up. And that was it. That's like, so I was like, okay.
Did you know that they went and fought him, or just like
I think
figured?
I
or-
kind of, yeah, just had a,
right
inclination. That's the right word, right? Inclination?
In-
Yeah.
inclination. I don't
Inclin- Close enough. Um,
know.
So I was like, all right, whatever. Like, I don't really care. So they arrest us, this, that, and the other thing. They take us to the district attorney's office, and I'm in. So I was able to put some clothes on. I had a white T-shirt on, just undershirt, boxers. I had a pair of mesh basketball shorts, no socks, and my moccasins. That's it. So they take us up to the DA. They bring us in one by one, this, that, and the other thing. I was the last one to go in. The whole time was yes, officer, no, officer, yes, your honor, no, your honor, respectful, but kept my mouth shut. And they were like, all right, well, this is what you're getting charged with. Blah, 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 blah. It was 2 felonies, 3 misdemeanors, and 1 summary offense. Yeah. And I was like, okay. And they were like, we're going to set your bail at $100,000.
Holy shit.
Yeah. So I was like, what? So judge smacks the gavel. We, go over. He's like, all right, arresting officer was like, you can make a phone call. So I was like, all right, I have to call my dad because my mom is Italian as fuck. And if I told her that I'm going to jail and that I have $100,000 bail,
Oh my God.
she's gonna hang up the phone.
She
Tell
would
me to
drop dead.
she would just tell me to fucking rot in there, hang up. She wouldn't.
Really?
Absolutely, my mom has zero sympathy unless I am bleeding and dying. If I did something, because she knew I was my parents knew at the time that I was acting a fool,
Right.
so they were like, it was a matter of time. So she would have been like, cool, rot in there, figure it the fuck out.
That's crazy. I would never think that.
My mom is a reactor. My dad's a thinker.
I was gonna
So-
say your dad would start plotting instantly, so I'm assuming he did.
So I call my dad. He doesn't answer, and I turn to the arresting officer and I go, "Sir, please let me call him until he answers. I have nobody else." And he goes, "Well, since you were respectful, like this, that, and the other thing, like, I'm gonna work with you." I'm like, "Okay, fine." Finally, he calls and he's like, "Hello," and I'm like, "Dad, it's me." Blah blah. He's like, "What's going on?" He's like, "I'm in the middle of a meeting," and I was like, "Oh my God!" I was like, I got in a little trouble and I kind of need you to bail me out." And he goes, "All right, do you have cash on you?" And I was like, no.
Not
He-
that much.
And he goes, "Do you have access to your checkbook?" And I go, no. And he goes, all right. How much is bail?" And this is all on speakerphone too, like off of like a desk phone. And I go, and I look at the officer and I go, $100,000. My dad goes, in the middle of a meeting, he goes, "Jesus fucking Christ, what did you do?" And I was like, "I don't think we should talk about it over the phone."
Yeah,
Like,
mhm.
and he goes, "I'm on it." Just hangs up. In 20 minutes, I had a lawyer and a private investigator. Yeah, because my dad's the godfather.
Wow.
Yeah. So then
Not surprised though.
yeah, not surprised. Then I turned to the arresting officer. I was like, now that that's done, I was like, what's next? And he's like, you're going to prison. I was like, oh, wait, I thought I was gonna like get out like in handcuffs. Like I didn't know, I'd never been in trouble
Right,
before.
yeah.
So we're driving and through the town, the jail that I thought I was going to, we just drive right past. And I'm like, aren't I supposed to be going there? And he goes, no, you're going to prison. Like that's jail. You're going to prison. I was like, oh motherfuck. I'm like,
Did you cry at all?
no, you can't cry. No fucking way. If there's one thing I did learn from movies, you can't do that.
Wow.
So I was like, all right, whatever. We go there, get fingerprinted. They had to write down all my tattoos, like what they said, what they were. Got my picture, my mugshot taken. Had to take a shower, bend over, lift your sack.
Oh,
That's a real thing.
no
people.
shit. Did they make you like cough and everything too?
Yeah, absolutely. Lift your sack. All right, turn around, bend over, spread the cheeks, cough. Yeah, absolutely. Check your mouth, make sure you're not bringing anything in. I'm
And
like,
like, what's going through your head at this point in time?
I'm just sitting there. I'm like, this is a fucking dream. Like, this is 100% a dream. So I'm like, oh my God. So they give me a box with, oranges, in it. And
Oh my God.
I had no socks. Okay. So I'm walking around in the orange slippers with no socks on. The Chris, who I got arrested with, right? We use his name Chris,
Mhm.
didn't have any boxers. They just put basketball shorts over
Mm-hmm.
him. So then when he got his oranges, he had to take his basketball shorts off. So he's walking around with no underwear. They don't give you underwear.
Oh my
You have to buy that
gosh.
through the commissary. So like I was like,
To buy underwear?
yeah.
Christ.
So then I was like, unless you're wearing it, then they'll inspect it and make sure it's fine, and then you can, continue about. But so then I had 48 hours of solitary confinement, which means you have to stay in your cell for 48 hours straight.
What if you have to pee?
What do you mean? You have a bathroom in your cell. You have a toilet in
Oh.
your cell. So
Do you get to eat?
yeah, they bring you a meal. Yeah,
Like in the movies, like under the door?
No. So I had a cellmate.
Oh.
You're thinking of The Hole. That's when you get in
Yeah.
trouble, when you get thrown in the hole and they
I'm
basically just
picturing like Shawshank Redemption shit.
yeah, not like that. No, you just have to stay in your cell for 48 hours. That's what solitary is. And then going to the hole is when like you're in prison and you get in trouble in prison. They're like, that's punishment.
So that happened next.
Oh
I'm kidding.
gosh. Oh gosh. So so I'm in there and whatnot. And I I had a cellmate. It was this short Spanish dude. Everyone called him Cholo. And
Where are they now, Cholo?
oh,
Did
he's in
he?
Mexico. He got deported.
Oh,
Um,
miss you, Cholo.
yeah, he was like, I'm getting deported in 60 days. So I was like, oh, okay. Well, I got one more phone call before I went in, and I called my dad, and he was like, listen, I did some research on the prison you're going to. He's like, it's pretty much not that bad of a prison. It's a bunch of drug abusers, DUI offenders, petty theft. Like you're not in there with like, killers. Well, so I thought. I was in there with a bunch of people because they were in the middle of a federal transfer. So there were federal inmates that are supposed to be in a federal prison, but there's not room for them yet. So they stuck them there.
No fucking way.
Yeah. So I got in. My dad told me not to talk about my case to anyone and blah, blah, blah. So, like, when I got in, Cholo was like, oh, what'd you do to get in here? And I was like, just some dumb shit. Got in a fight. Just like kept it simple. I was like, what about you? He's like, I'll tell you tomorrow. And I was like,
oh, shit.
I was like, cool. I'm going to get stabbed tonight in my sleep. That's great. So the next day, since I'm in solitary during lockdown.
I thought solitary meant just you.
Technically, yeah, I think. But it was such a small prison.
Right.
Honestly, actually though, it technically is considered a maximum security prison due to the amount of walls it takes to get outside. That's what
right.
I learned while in prison.
The more you know.
Yeah, right. So the next day during solitary and during lockdown, Cholo came back in and he was like, what do you want to do? I was like, I don't know. You want to work out? So we were doing prison workouts, push-ups, sit-ups, like chin-ups on the side of the bed, like dips, like all that stuff. And as we're working out, I was like, all right, so like, what'd you do to get in here? And this is where I found out about the federal transfer. He was like, oh, I shot and killed 2 people in New York. I'm like, oh my God.
What?
Like, yeah, the guy to the cell to my right was like an OG gangster from LA. I think he killed like 9 or 10 people.
No way.
Yeah. Another dude was in there selling a bunch of like heavy drugs, like heroin, coke, like all that stuff.
And you never told him what you did?
I mean, that's actually a funny story, but I don't know if I could tell that one on air because it uses some profound language that I'm not allowed to say. But across the hall, Snowball was on death row.
Oh my God, you made all these friends. Like,
Yeah.
this is amazing.
Yeah, Snowball.
Not amazing, but pretty fun.
Yeah, he was on death row. And then there was another dude who had a life sentence in there as well, too. I was like, damn, this is fucking wild. So,
meanwhile, all you did was talk a loogie on.
and
Mark
you know what the
Bernard.
worst part is? It wasn't even a loogie. It was like a spray spit. It was
Oh.
fucking lame. I was like, you gotta be kidding me. So then, so then I was like, this is bullshit. Like I can't
Yeah.
believe I'm here. And then obviously I had phone calls and stuff like with my parents. I met with my lawyer while I was in there, and they were like, blah blah blah. We're gonna try and get you out early. Well, I got arrested on a Friday. So, district attorney's not around on the weekend, so I had to stay at least the weekend. They tried to get me out on Monday, wound up not working, so it wound up being 6 days. I got out on Wednesday. And I got released on it's called release on reconnaissance, where you don't have to pay your bail, but you have rules. So I wasn't allowed to stay in town, wasn't allowed to talk about the case, couldn't get caught around alcohol or even drinking, even though, yes, I was underage, but like, even if I was just at a friend's house and they were sipping on a beer, the cop showed up and there's a beer within sight of me that's not my parents, essentially, that I would have went right back to prison, and I would have owed the full amount of $100,000.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
So wait, you said you weren't allowed to stay in town, so you had to go home?
Yeah, I had to go home, like back to my parents' house.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So
Was it the
then,
middle of the semester?
it was the end of the semester, like 3 weeks before
So
finals.
you couldn't go to class?
Well, I was told to go to class. I had to go home the weekends. Sorry.
Okay,
Let me
okay.
rephrase. Yeah, I had to go home on the weekends. And I was told to go to class. Well, the day I got out, my parents took me to a nice restaurant, so I didn't have to eat prison food like I did for the last 6 days.
Cholo was probably so jealous.
Yeah, I had a cheeseburger and a cheesesteak. I ate so much food. And then I'll never forget, like, this is where my anxiety came in. Like, this is where it triggered everything and has been, part of me for the rest of my life, because I felt like someone was watching me all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I got out and I remember Keegan, after my parents, dropped me off or whatever, I remember keying into my apartment and just like sitting there and just like panicking, like, dude, someone's like in this house, like someone's there, like all this
That's
stuff.
awful.
I was like, all right, I'm just gonna walk to my car, get some shit out of my car, and maybe like the walk will be fine. Dude, I was like panicking the whole time. I'm like, holy shit, like this is weird, this is weird. And then my dad called me and he was like, yo, and I was like, what's up? He's like, you all right? And I was like,
Nope.
honestly, no. And he's like, cool. I just booked a room at like a Comfort Suites or something like that, down the road. He's like, come here, just stay here tonight. And
Aw.
I was just like, thank fucking
Yeah.
God. Next day I get a call from the school. They're like, you need to meet with basically the principal. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? We go in and he's like, we're suspending you. And I was like, in my head, I'm like, fuck you, I pay you.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Like, and on top of that, I didn't do shit. So then he was like, well, tell me what happened. Well, I'm obviously like frantic, so when I tell the story, it like didn't really like make too much sense and all that. So I was like, all right, he was like, I'm not gonna lie, like your story doesn't seem to, add up here. We're gonna continue with the suspension. And my dad's like, this is bullshit. Like he goes, oh, you have to come in alone because you're an adult. And my dad's like, fuck you. I write the check to you guys.
Mhm.
I'm coming in with him. Especially after because my dad knows the story. So he came in with, he's like, sir, this is ridiculous. And finally they were just like, well, there's video evidence. And I go, perfect, bring it up. You'll see I'm not there.
Hmm.
Oh, well, the police department has it. I'm like, well, fuck you. Then I'm going to class.
Right.
Doesn't matter. I had to go home. I got suspended. I had to go home. I had to write an appeal letter. So me and my dad sat down, wrote an appeal letter, wound up getting it lifted. I missed projects. I missed homework. I missed everything. By the time I got back, it was 1 week and then finals. I failed all of my class. I got
Ugh.
a 1.8 GPA or like a 2.0 GPA.
And none
That's
of your professors obviously were.
I mean, what are they supposed to do? They
Yeah.
can't be like, sorry, like, no,
Mhm.
we'll help you. Like
Yeah.
the projects, I didn't give my presentation. They just decided not to grade me on the presentation, which was cool. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? But like I felt bad for my group because I did
Mhm.
my part as far as putting it together, but I didn't present it. But I was supposed to be there on Friday.
Right.
They were like, where the fuck is he? Well, I was
Ugh.
in prison, so like I'm sure they were calling me and shit.
Right.
So yeah, so then finally it got lifted. I went back to school. Like I said, basically got like C's on in all my classes and a D. I remember that. I got a D in philosophy. And yeah, and then finally my preliminary hearing, where everything kind of gets figured out whether you go to trial or not, goes it's May 13th, 2 days before my birthday.
Mm.
And I'll never forget, like someone hits me up and they're like, yo man, what are you doing for your birthday? I had totally forgot that my birthday was coming. I did not even know. And
Aw.
I was like, what do you mean? They're like, your birthday is on Friday or whatever. I was like, honestly, my mind is in 20 different places. I
Mhm.
totally forgot that I was turning 20. You know what I mean? And we get to the preliminary and they basically were like, all right, we're going to drop it down to one. My lawyer talks to them first. He's like, they want to say they'll a plea bargain of one misdemeanor and two summary offenses, and one misdemeanor of simple assault. I said,
Ooh, no.
absolutely not. And they're like, what do you mean? I was like, granted, yes, spitting on someone is simple
Is
assault.
it?
Technically, yeah,
Such bullshit.
it is. It is. It's an arbitrary fucking term. I was like, bullshit. I said, I'm paying you. I sat in prison for 6 days for spitting on someone at a college party. I said, no, a misdemeanor I have to claim on jobs. I have to
Mhm.
claim on college applications, all this other things, because obviously, you know, I probably wasn't going to stay where I was at. So I was like, dude, no way. Fucking no way. Go back in there, do your fucking job. So he came back out and he was like, one summary offense of, harassment with no intent to harm. And I was like, fuck
We're
it.
getting there.
And I said, fuck it. I said, yeah. I said, if I say no to this, they're gonna make it go to trial. And we had plans to go to Italy that summer, like as a family. I was like, you know what's gonna happen, Dad? I'm gonna say no, we're gonna go to trial, and the trial's gonna land while we're in Italy.
Mhm.
I'm gonna tell you guys to go to the trip. You guys, since you're good parents,
Aren't
aren't gonna
gonna
go,
go.
and I'm gonna feel guilty. I'll just take this. It is what it is. My mom to this day fucking can't even talk about this. She
Really?
she gets furious. She hates everything about this, from the shoddy police work to the school. Oh gosh, I mean, I had a case to sue someone without a
100%.
doubt, without a doubt. And
Because I always kind of knew sort of what had happened. Like I knew that there was drama, but I never really knew what happened.
uh,
I had no idea that you were in jail.
yeah, I was in prison.
I had no idea.
Yeah, jail and prison are different, by the way.
Well, either one.
Yeah.
I didn't know.
Well, jail is like I got drunk and they throw you in the drunk tank.
Right.
Yeah. Prison is like no, like you might be here for a while.
With Cholo
Yeah, with
and
Cholo.
Snowball.
Snowball. Yeah.
Love them.
Yeah, great guys. And LA too. That was his nickname.
Good.
But yeah, so we were there, and then kind of funny story at the end of the preliminary. You know, everything signed. They waived me off for time served. And that kind of was it. We go to Applebee's just to get some food because it had been a long day. They go to sit us down, and as they sit us down, they sit us at the table right next to dun, da, 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 Mark the Narc and his parents, because
No.
he had to be at the preliminary because he's part of the case because he was quote unquote working for the cops.
No.
They sat us right next to him, and my mom, dude, she's great. Like when my mom's attitude is tough sometimes to deal with, but when it's warranted, it's fucking hilarious. She literally turns to the waitress and she goes, "Can we get another table? We don't like these people." just fucking right there. Like, it was.
I could totally hear that.
Oh my god! Or she said something along those lines, like, "We don't need to sit next to these type of people," or something like that. It was like, and they sat us across. I was like, "What are the fucking odds of that?" Like, we just wanted to get some food because it's been a hell of a day, and they sit us next to this dickhead. But
I
yeah,
need some boneless buffalo wings in peace. Damn.
yeah, boneless buffalo wings, some mott sticks, and get the fuck out of here.
Damn.
But yeah, so that was my like 25-minute monologue there. You know?
I've heard the story before, and it still is equally shocking to
Yeah,
me. Like,
there's like way more details if I wanted to get, but it's not. You know, that's the gist of it. Yeah.
so I'm assuming of the group of people, you had the least of
no,
offenses?
one other guy didn't even do anything. He just yelled at the kid and got in trouble.
Did
and,
he also get charges?
He got the same charges as I did, and then when he went, I'm pretty sure he got everything dropped.
Okay.
Everything.
Okay.
Yeah, and they just waived him off as
But he
time
was in
served.
jail as well?
Oh yeah, yeah.
That is unbelievable.
Yeah.
Unfucking believable.
So you know what an affidavit is? It's the story. It's whatever happens, you know. So say that like you were assaulted, you go and give a report. That is the affidavit of what happened.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Okay.
It was a 2-page affidavit. I was in one sentence.
It's great.
One sentence.
Worth 6 days in jail.
Yeah, $5,000 for a lawyer or whatever the hell it was.
Oh my
Thank
God.
God my parents paid for that. I mean, yeah, and all that other shit. Yeah, failing school. You know, that was great. You know, ruined my GPA.
I
So,
mean, I hate to like to loop this into this, but I can't help but think about it this way. Number one, like, you are a pretty smart kid, and you've been raised by pretty smart people who've taught you, like you said, don't talk about it, don't incriminate yourself, you know, and you had someone to call that knew the right people to bring into it and
mhm.
had your back and were able to financially support you through it. Like, I can't help but think, like, this is such a sad example of what if you didn't have those things? Like,
Oh my gosh.
you probably would have
I-
stayed in jail.
I said it before, even with like my whole cancer thing. I said I'd be dead if it wasn't for my parents. My dad handled all the finances. He told me, "You write this check for this amount to this person, sign. Write this check here. This goes here. This is due by then." My mom scheduled all my doctor's appointments. All this. They handled everything. They said you need to just focus on getting better. If it wasn't for them, I'd be dead. Same thing here. If it wasn't for them, like being who they are as people, I don't think I'd still be in there. I think I would have kind of figured it out on my own. But I can tell you this: it would have been the story would have been 2 hours long,
Yeah.
not just 25 minutes.
But that's just like, again, like how like our justice system is kind of it
Mhm.
favors those who can
Figure it out.
who can support themselves and who have, like, you know what I mean? Like, if you had not had that, like, I don't want to the financial piece of it, obviously, but also just like having been brought up in a home that kind of taught you
a support system.
right. And imagine if you were just some idiot who fucked up, like, you'd probably you probably would have gone to prison for much longer.
I probably had to do I probably would have to do like 30 days. I
which
bet
is
you
for spitting on someone, which is
for
just unbelievable.
absurd,
Like,
absolutely
and
absurd.
I'm not excusing it. It wasn't right. We know that, but
Absolutely, and that's why I took that summary offense. I turned to my dad. I said, "I did something wrong," and my mom flipped. She's like, "Yeah, but you spent 6 days in prison for it." And I'm like, "I get it. Let's just kind of delete that. Let's
right.
forget that happened for a second. At the end of the day, I did something wrong, and I'm a man. I suffer the consequences to my actions. I'll take it. That's fine. Like whatever." So
So
it
I
wasn't right. I'm not justifying it, but fuck that kid. You know what I
yeah.
mean? Like
Mhm.
that's just and honestly, it's not even his fault. I can't, so like as I get older and think about it more and whatnot, it's not his fault, dude. It's the cops. It's
Yeah.
they slapped on all the charges they possibly could because they're in a town where they know mommy and daddy have some money and mommy and daddy are going to bail them out. So the cops know the lawyers, the cops know the bail bondsmen. They know that, dude, they're all in each other's
That
shit.
is
You know what I
crazy.
mean? So of course they're gonna give, you know, little Johnny a, 2 felonies, 3 misdemeanors, all this shit because little Johnny, is going to school. He's supposed to be a good old boy and this, that, and the other thing. Mommy and daddy probably are paying for it and they have money to bail him out. Well, come on, man. You don't think there's not kickbacks? All those like crime documentary movies and shit where there's like corrupt cops. You think that just stems out of those ideas just stem out of thin air? No,
It's
they come
fucking
from real
crazy.
life.
That's insane.
So yeah, it was bullshit. I mean, yeah, still fuck that kid because
Yeah.
like he shouldn't have showed up to where he just made a bust on people like
Yeah.
that. You know what I mean? And if that was his intention, like where was the cops backing him up?
Yeah, that's true.
They should have been there to make sure he doesn't get hurt.
Right.
So shoddy police work all the way through. That kid's a dickhead. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
And then it was funny too. They were like, when the judge was like reading the affidavit and like giving me my sentence because I pled down to that summary offense, and he goes, "All right, well, if you're pleading down to this, that holds a sentence of a $300 fine and or 90 days in jail." And I was like, "Oh fuck! Like this is moment of truth. Like let's see what this
Mhm.
guy says." And I can see the judge like reading it through the bottom of his glasses, and he's like, "You serve any time?" I go, "Yes, Your Honor." He goes, "How long?" And I go, "6 days." And he literally takes his glasses off and looks at me and goes, "Yeah, we're gonna write him off as time served," because he probably read the 2-page affidavit real
Mhm.
quick, saw my name was in one fucking sentence, and was like, "This is ridiculous. Why are you fucking wasting my time with this? Get this kid out of here." Insane, insane.
That's just unbelievable, especially knowing you now. Like that's just it's
It
crazy.
needed to happen.
Well, that's what I
Maybe
kind of
not to that
wanted.
extent, but
Yeah, but I mean, in the same breath, like I knew you. I mean, I definitely know you better now, but I knew you pretty well back
yeah,
then. Um,
we got drunk a lot.
we did, and but you were like you could not tell Bobby Ashton fucking nothing. You could not tell him
No.
anything. Like I mean, and you're still kind of like that to a degree, but
Yeah.
you're more aware and you're more compassionate, and I think you're just like you understand that actions carry circumstances, and I don't know that you really got that before this happened.
Yeah, I was invincible. I really was. Like that's the way nobody tells me nothing. I'm the fucking toughest guy on the block, and it's my way or the highway, and I don't fucking care about your feelings. And that's who I was. And I've said it before, and I remember, when I was seeing this girl, I told her this, and she was like mind blown. She's like, "Oh my god, like who are you?"
Right.
And I was like, "Listen, you need to understand. Like, I was a bad person. Like, I was bad. I understand that. That is not who I am at all anymore. Like, yeah, there's redeeming qualities of what I was that still shine through today. Like, I don't take no for an answer. I work hard. I
Mhm.
strive. I'm determined.
Right.
Whatever. And that's fine. Those are, like I said, those are the redeeming qualities. I always have my friends back. I mean, since then, I haven't gotten into any fights, but I can tell you this: I've sure as hell stopped a lot
Yeah.
from people picking on my friends, and then I step in and say, "Listen, you don't want the smoke." You know what I mean? Like you
I'm
don't
not
want
gonna
it.
spit on you, but
I'm
but
not
but I
gonna I'm not
might.
gonna spit on you, but if you fucking touch him, it's game over or whatever. I mean, I saw a girl get punched at the bar before, and
Yeah, I remember
all
that.
that. Yeah. So you know, there are good things that happen, but like at the end of the day, like I was not a good person, and it
So
had to happen.
from start to finish, like this all started in the spring. How long did it last? When did it all end?
It only from the day I got booked to the day, a month and a half.
day I got booked. You sound like such like a hood, like
Hood rat.
a guy who's seen a couple things.
Yeah, right. I mean, I guess
Um,
I have. You know, if you
so
really think.
then after that, I mean, I know you and I have talked briefly, and you've mentioned in the podcast too. Like, what did that do to your mental health after all of that?
That is where it all started. That is where, like, because I was on a high. Like I said, I was invincible. I was
Hmm.
the man. I ran that campus. I felt
I
like
mean, you're pretty fucking cool. I'm not gonna
I
lie.
was yeah, I used to be. Now I'm a fucking loser. But yeah, I mean, like I knew everyone. I was friends with, for the most part, friends with anyone.
Yeah,
And if I wasn't friends with them, they were afraid of me, which is where you want your enemies to be. You know what I
correct.
mean?
Hmm.
I was at that before that. I was doing well in school.
Hmm.
You know, I, I had kind of like a steady chick at the time. You know, like I was
Yeah,
living.
you had it all.
I
Well, I
had
mean,
it
what
all.
looked like the dream life, right?
Exactly. And then that happened, and then my mental health just plummeted.
Well, it's probably like an identity crisis in some sense.
Yeah, I mean, I was like, holy shit, like, you just did that, like that just
Hmm.
happened to you, and like we always talk about like this white picket fence, like upper middle class white suburban male, like that's not what's supposed to
Right.
happen, quote unquote supposed to
Right.
happen, and it happened, and it's like, holy shit, like you you just got a taste of what other people have to go through,
Right.
so it changed who I was as a person, and it took a really long time to like have that self-reflection, like, yo, you need to fucking calm down.
So did you calm down right away?
No, well, no, I did not, but it took time, and it was gradual, and it wound up working out. I did actually, that was when I got medicated,
Right. Right.
for
Hmm.
depression
Hmm.
and anxiety,
What do you
and
think the depression was like? What do
I
you
didn't.
feel? Was there anything specifically that was making you upset? Like,
I think the depression was really driven by the anxiety because,
okay.
like I said, I felt like someone was watching me at all times, even after it was all said and done. And here, sign the papers, you're done. Whatever.
Right.
I felt like I was like constantly like, well, what's next? Or like
Hmm.
if I did do something that was like a little edgy, I'm like, well, what if someone, what if? And I still feel that
Were
way.
you on
Like,
probation?
no,
Okay.
no, never on probation or parole.
Okay.
Um but yeah, I like I said, even if I did do something like edgy, like whatever, like if I was at a party and someone started mouthing off and I mouthed off to him, and
Mm-hmm.
like stepped in, like, oh, what if this happens? Like, what if he goes and tells? Like, what if he said,
Well, it's
like,
like PTSD for
oh,
sure.
yeah, and I was like, and I wouldn't feel that right away, but it would be like an hour after,
Mm-hmm.
and then full panic would
Mm-hmm.
ensue, and then I'm like, oh boy, like here we go. So that's really kind of like I said, what started, and then I hate to say it like this because it sounds so fucking lame and like cocky, but like I used to get a lot of chicks in college. From that point on, I struggled.
Really?
Yeah. From that point on is really where I struggled, like approaching girls, like this, that, and the other thing. Now, don't get me wrong. I've like had my fair share, like, you know what I mean?
Why
Like
do you think
since
that
then,
is?
probably because of my anxiety. It driven my,
Oh.
yeah, because now I'm just like, now I'm like worried, like, what if I say the wrong thing to a girl and she spins it in a direction,
Oh.
like, yeah, dude, I'm telling you, my mind,
Oh my gosh, that just like blew my mind. I feel like that just was a moment of clarity for me as your friend.
yeah,
Interesting.
not that, like, again, I'm not saying like I struggled, like some of my other friends struggle. So I can't even compare to them, but
Right,
like,
but I mean,
I used to be able to walk up to any girl, no matter how hot she was, and be like, yo, what's up,
I
girl?
know, I remember.
I did not give a shit.
When I feel like you and I spend a lot of time on this, I'm like, why are you so nervous to do X, Y, and Z? Like, the girl will be giving you all the right signs. Like, you're not a bad looking dude. You're not stupid. You're not
Hmm.
not funny. You're not poor. Like, you're not a loser. Like, what is it? I never get it, and that makes sense.
Yeah. And ever since then, I was just like, oh man, like it's all nerve
That makes
wracking
no
now
sense.
because now I overthink everything.
Have you unpacked that in therapy, Bobby?
Um, we didn't really talk about that all too
Maybe you
much.
should.
I got to get back into therapy. It's been a while.
Me too. I canceled it today.
But I love this for us. This is great. But yeah,
Yeah.
that's kind of the story of Bobby behind bars.
Bobby behind bars. I wish we could do like a ching ching.
Dun, dun. Oh my god. But yeah, that's like I said, that was probably like it's crazy. Like as far as like bucket list things, I've been to prison, I've been tear gassed, I've had cancer, I've survived cancer. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I've been
I
through
don't think
some.
that's on like bucket list. I think that's on like a rap sheet kind
Yeah,
of
yeah,
like.
I guess, whatever. I didn't know what else to call, but it's like you just think about like, some of the things. Like my dad's even said it to me too. He's like, dude, you've been through some shit that some people haven't been through in like a 10-year span. He's like that some people haven't been through in like a lifetime.
Well, I
You
think
know?
also like that knowing you, if I had told myself when I was 17, like, hey, you're going to have a podcast with this person, he's going to become one of the most important people in your life at 29, I'd be like, no.
He's cool, but not that cool.
Hard no, that kid's a douche. He's not very smart. He definitely doesn't advocate for other people. So thank you, but no thank you. Like I would have never foreseen like the growth that you've made
Yeah.
from then and now. And I think, I mean, honestly, I always mentally attributed it to just the cancer because like I was like, oh, I don't how does a guy turn from a douche to like a really nice guy? Like I don't get it. And I was like, oh, it must have been the cancer.
It's just
But I
been
think
like a
it's yeah.
compilation of all of
Mhm.
it. You know what I mean? It's
Mhm.
just added up. Like it started with that. Like I would say, like the anger, Tommy Tough Nuts kind of thing started with going to prison,
Right.
and that kind of stopped. And then losing friends and stuff
Mhm.
like that kind of just attributed to it as well. And then like having cancer, and honestly, like doing the whole cancer thing and whatnot, we could do a whole nother episode on that. At the time I didn't really give a shit. Like at the time I was just like whatever, like it
Mhm.
is. It actually didn't hit me until about a year later where I was like, holy fuck, like you almost died. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
I would
Like,
love to have an episode about that cuz I have so many questions.
yeah, we can do it again, I don't care. But monologue number 2.
I like it though. I like to hear from you and pick your brain.
Yeah, there's a lot in there. We gotta find it though. But
Well, as they say, what doesn't kill you makes you stronger.
yes,
Wait, you
yes.
know what's funny? And actually, I hope I'm right about this. I was at a high school graduation, and one of the speakers was like, as Kelly Clarkson always says, what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. I'm like, I don't think she's the first person that said
Not at
that.
all, not even
She
close.
might have made a song about it that's really bad, by the way. But I don't think it's like, I don't,
No, not at all.
I,
No. No, I'm
that's like
just it's a
saying
hard
that's
no.
like saying like Pharrell Williams said, "It's because I'm happy." Like,
You're like,
no.
"No,
Like,
mm,
I feel like he
close,
wasn't the
but
first one.
close, but no cigar."
Right. So, how about you, Bobby? Any closing arguments for your
Don't
monologue?
right. A quick easy one is don't get in fights unless you absolutely have to defend yourself or someone who's in danger. That's easy, layup. And then just you know, think about what you do before you do it. Every action has consequences. Even when you don't do anything, it has consequences. So, that kind of ties into the first thing that I just said, like, as far as fighting or defending, you know, there are times you have to do it. You know what I mean?
Right,
So don't be
unfortunately.
afraid of it. Because for example, when I saw that girl get punched in the bar, you know what I mean? Who knows what could have happened if I didn't step in? Doing nothing also has consequences, but you have to, be very calculated when you do decide to make those decisions to have to defend someone. And that's with anything either. Just be calculated with all your decisions. They all have consequences. They all have rippling effects that, and like I said, I was 19 years old. I'm 30 now, and I'm still suffering the consequences of anxiety from when I was 19. Kind of developing anxiety
Mhm.
from when I was 19 years old. It's 11 years later. Over a decade, and it ain't going away anytime soon. I can tell you that.
I
So
think we just unpacked something that you need to bring up in therapy.
probably, so just like I said, know what you're doing before you do it. And if you don't know, make the best guess you possibly can and let it rip.
And don't let your spit rip, that's for sure.
Definitely don't. Yeah. And
Because
here's
you
the
might end
thing,
up in prison with a guy named Cholo.
right? And if you want me to make a funny closing argument, if you are gonna spit on someone, just punch them instead. It makes it way more worth it when you are sitting in prison. I was sitting in prison, my prison cell. I was like, I should have just hit this kid. You know what I mean? Like I should have made this all worth it and just knocked him out in one hit. But yeah, so that's a joke, obviously.
Maybe. No, we're
I
kidding.
was like, oh god. But yeah, I can't believe I told that story
I'm
to.
proud of you. I was wondering when we get into that.
I mean, I
So,
knew I was gonna tell it at some point,
hmm
but I was like, kind of just figuring out when. You know what I mean? Because
yeah.
you can't just like, bleh, you know.
Well, that's the best time to do it, like right now. So,
Yeah, right.
So keep your eye out for any Bobby and Bars memes that we're gonna have up on the
Oh
Instagram page.
gosh.
I'm already picturing them now. I'll be on vacation when this episode drops with my family in Sea Isle, so I should have plenty of time to make some fire fucking memes.
Oh gosh. It's gonna be like little ass
uh,
Bobby too, because I was such a little kid back then
you
too.
were. Oh, I know what picture I'm gonna take a picture of upstairs, and you know which one I am too.
Oh fuck.
His
Oh yeah.
mom has this like it looks like a mug shot, but I think it's supposed to be a glamour shot, but he looks like he's staring into the camera and he's like, "What the fuck do you want?" And
Yeah.
I'm gonna go take a photo of that. You all will see it when this episode drops. I want to say we'll see you next Thursday, but I'm not fully sure. We're gonna try to keep on the schedule of every week, but who the hell knows?
Yeah. Who knows? Sorry guys
Yeah.
and girls.
Yeah, ladies, gentlemen, cool cats, kittens, whatever. We're just rambling.
Oh
We need to wrap
god,
it
that
up
was
here.
cringy.
All right, plug the Instagram, Bobby.
All right, you know what to do. Feel free to follow the Irregular Instagram page at Irregular Podcast. Also, follow my personal page at YoBob, EYOOO_BOB, behind bars.
Wait, that's amazing. I love that. And follow my Instagram page at Katie_ANI. It's Katie, KAITYANI. We will see you, hopefully, next Thursday.
Love you.